Welcome back to another video. Today we're actually going to be testing the latest software update, 2026.14.6.11 in our Tesla Model Y. It does have the FSD 14.3.4, and since parking is mentioned as improvements, it's really just talking about the destination that you get to select on your way. But since it is in there in the release notes, I figured we could test out some parking deck parking to see if it has improved, because typically it has had a lot of trouble getting in and out of this parking deck. We'll also probably try to see if we can get it to park at a charger, level 2 charger, as well as that will give us an opportunity for some parallel parking. All right, so we are navigating to the parking deck. It does give the option for parking garage once we get to the destination, so that's good. That's a good sign that it does actually have that as the default location there. So you can see we have parking lot, street, or parking garage. It by default, because it's a parking garage, has that selected. I'll go ahead and switch it to standard. Self-driving. I am trying the 2-camera setup again. Hopefully it works out. I've had some troubles with it trying to get the image brightness to match between the two, and I think that the parking garage is going to be an additional challenge for that. So hopefully it turns out okay and it's bright enough. If not, then I will just leave the camera in the view and have the second camera here for all of it. I've not had any trouble with the iPhone, but this new DJI action camera I have had some difficulty with, so bear with me on that. We're just going to go the quickest way to get to this parking garage. I have used FSD 14.3.4 on the interstate a few times now, and I've been happy with how it performs. Haven't had a whole lot of trouble with interstate driving in a while. The biggest complaint on interstate is just the speed. So it a lot of times does not know the correct speed limit, and if it's switching between, say, a work zone or a construction zone or whatever, and then if it just is switching back and forth between like a 55 mile per hour zone and a 65 mile per hour zone, or 65 and 70, it'll often get those confused, and it doesn't seem to stick with one or the other, which is unfortunate, because if I can't control a max speed, then what it needs to do is correctly know what the speed limit is, and each profile should always be predictable about what speed it's going to go in that zone. But sometimes it'll go 70 and a 55, and sometimes it'll go, think that it's a 70 mile per hour zone, it's actually a construction zone, and it's 60. And so if you have it on standard or whatever, it's going 75 miles per hour. That's way too fast for a construction zone of 60. So unfortunately, it's really hard to get it to go the speed you want it to sometimes on the interstate. But other than that, interstate driving seems to be pretty solid now. Usually lets people merge. Usually merges on pretty well. And you can still use the turn signal to tell it which lane to go in. So I can usually pretty easily decide if I want to go around somebody or not by switching it up to like a hurry profile, get around them, and get over. Okay, that was good. There's a bunch of debris on the road. It at least correctly went around that big piece of rubber there. So that was good. I sometimes I wonder how much the lead car has to do with that, but I was ready to disengage if I needed to get around that. There was some little debris, but we didn't run over any of it, so very good. All right, here's the traffic circle. Always does really well with the traffic circle, so that's good. Just hardly ever have any concern with traffic circles anymore. It used to be I'd be really, really waiting to take over. All right, so here we are. It does say we will park in the parking garage. We're approaching destination. So it's going to be up here on the right. It should be the easiest way for it to get into this parking garage. So we definitely gave it, the best opportunity to get into this parking garage without any trouble. So hopefully it doesn't have any trouble. It's interesting, a long time ago, this intersection on like version 11, maybe it was, it was a super scary intersection just because of the turn here in the railroad track, and there's like a couple crosswalks. It really had a hard time determining where the lane was. Even though there's this dotted line here, it would get confused, and sometimes it almost looked like it was just going to go straight into the curb. So scary times back in the day with the older versions of FSD, but since like version 12 and later, it's not had any problems with this intersection. So it is pretty incredible how many things have gotten so much better, and I don't even think about it anymore. So before, it was, when those earlier versions, it was just like, is it gonna even stay in the lane that it's supposed to be in? It was things like that. But now it's more about, it's not going the direction I want it to go, and it's not parking how I want it to park or where I want it to park. Very little problems now. Just the last bit of things to fix. All right, so here we are. Just need to turn right here. Good deal. Looks like we got it. And tons of spaces, 431. It probably will just find the first available space, right? Here's one. Looks like it's going to back in. That seems pretty good. I mean, I probably wouldn't park at this one just because of that column there. And, got the foot over the brake just in case. Yeah, because it didn't seem like it wanted to stop. There is a big concrete column there, and I was like, okay, we got to make sure that it's actually going to stop there. But it did. And I wouldn't say that it is a great parking job. We are kind of biasing one side versus the other, and it's the side with the column. So actually, I would normally want to try to stay a little bit further away from the column, but whatever, it parked okay. So now the next step is, can we get it to park, like, first of all, it should be able to get out of this, no problem. However, there's 3 different ways to get out of this parking garage. So we'll see how well it does with that. And also, I want to see if we navigate down here to this charge point. Select that. This is a charge point charger. And we can do that route. That's probably good. Interesting. If I select this one, we can't actually go this way. So maybe I'll select this one just to see what it does. Because you can't turn left out here. So we'll do that. And at the destination, we have pull over, park, or street parking or parking lot. Now in this case, it is street parking, but I don't know what happened. It used to, in previous versions, when we got to select the parking, we could select charger. we are navigating to a charger. It shows up as a charger on the map. It says it's a charging station, but yet it doesn't let you select charging station. Let me try. There's one other one here. Let's see if that one gives you the charger option. Parking lot. It is in a parking lot. No. So no more options to do charging. Is that removed completely, or is it only for maybe it's only for if you're going to a Tesla supercharger? Is the only time? All right, let's take the difficult route here. Oh, I did have it on pull over. I'm going to switch that to street parking. I don't know why it switched to pull over, but all right. So you see here, navigation says it's going to turn left. Obviously, there's a right turn only. There's a big median. It's obvious that you have to turn right. Navigation is still thinking that we're going to turn left. So once we turn right here, I'm sure it'll correct. Oh, see, this is no good. I mean, well, we can do this. We can turn in here. This is fine. I don't really know what it's trying to do. It's just going to turn around in this. Ugh. Indecision. That's interesting. So we're going to go over here, and this is fine. We can go around in this little circle here to turn around. Okay, that works. I wouldn't say that that was the most graceful way to get to get back to the direction we wanted. We could have just turned right down here. So in that case, it did a perfect job getting in to the parking garage, getting out of the parking garage. Albeit that's just a test of one. I'm definitely going to come back again sometime and try that out again, because I don't obviously trust that it is fully solved. Now, there's nothing that says we can't do right on red here. So we could have definitely gone. I'm not sure why. I wonder if it's interpreting the don't block the box thing ahead as a no right on red, but there's definitely there's nothing that says no right on red here, so we could. And yeah, we got a green light, so that works. We could have gone a lot earlier because there was no cars almost that whole time, but that's okay. So just a little bit of a funky navigation there. The FSD overrode the navigation because it could obviously see where we could or couldn't go. Now, I wouldn't mind getting a little bit further here. We're right under where, if there was a train coming, the arm would come down on top of our car. Probably hit it. So I wouldn't mind getting a little further into the intersection. But we're past the railroad track, so yeah, see, this is a little bit more comfortable here. It could have taken that position the whole time, but it kind of waited until the end. All right, can we actually turn this way? Yes, we can turn this way. All right. So far, so good. So this street parking for the charger should be a parallel parking spot. So we'll see if it does, in fact, do that. Huh. Yeah, I really wanted to get away from that golf cart there. Did have something hanging off the back of it slightly into the road, but I think we exaggerated the move a little bit much. All right, so the chargers are actually here on the left, and so there is a spot where we could park and charge, and instead it's parking over here on the right side of the street, not at that charger. And unless it does a very good job of correcting this, it's doing a very poor job of parallel parking. Yeah, this is going to be not good. We're sticking out, as you can see, like my steering wheel, like the right side of my steering wheel is lined up with the side of this other car. So that is not a good parallel parking job, unfortunately. So that's sort of sad. Let's go ahead and I'm going to see if we can park over here. What I want to do is actually, what if I navigate on the thing here with chargers? Doesn't show up. So maybe it just has to be recognized as a charger that's listed on this map. I'm not sure. I think these are all destination chargers, so are they all Tesla chargers? Maybe. I'm not sure. So maybe it has to be a Tesla charger in order for it to show up on the map, but that would be unfortunate. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate here and see what it does about turning around here. So it's street parking, and then we'll come back to this after, because I want to see how it turns around over here in the past and whether it for sure doesn't park in the no parking zone. So there's a no parking zone down here. I want to see if it does honor that. It has failed to do so a couple times in the past, but it's also done it right a couple times in the past. So seems to be one of those things that kind of goes back and forth on. I believe the last version I tested this with was 14.3.2. Not sure. See, so we passed spaces that we could have parked at. So now we're getting to the no parking zone. So it's going to need to do a 3-point turn here to turn around. It cannot park here. And what is it going to do? It's going to park. No, it didn't park. Oh, yes, it is parking. It's getting closer to the curb. Yeah, so this is not valid. This is not a parking area. You cannot park here. Definitely could get a ticket. And it's not stopping. Seems to be stuck. Let's see. Can we navigate? Wow, it seems stuck. I mean, I'm trying to give it some time here, but we're also in a no parking zone, fire lane. So, yeah, I'm going to say parking. That's no good, but I don't know why it didn't stop. Just put it in park. All right, now let's see if we go back to that charger and do street parking. Let's see if it actually parks in the spot for the charger this time. Boy, this thing is, it feels stuck here. Okay, there we go. Very slow there. First of all, we parked in a fire lane, so that was obviously no good. So would have gotten a ticket for that, or could have, I should say. Maybe nobody would have noticed. I don't know. But there's all these spaces here we could have parked in, which were completely valid. And honestly, it passed all of them to get there. So that's kind of strange. All right, so last try here to do a parallel parking spot. So far, we're 0 for 2 on the parallel parking, because that first one was a very poor parking job. I would have had to repark it to make sure that our car didn't get hit, because we were definitely well out into the road. And we got 2 spaces here that we could park in for charging. Looks like we're going to take this one. This will be perfectly fine. Let's see if it gets all the way into the space this time. Ooh, yeah. All right. There we go. Good. Very nice. Okay, 1 for 3. 1 for 3 on the parallel parking. Good job. All right, so 1 for 3 on the parallel parking. First one, way outside the space, so that's no good. Second one, we parked in the fire lane instead of the plenty of open parallel parking spaces we could have parked in. I was actually hoping it would just do the 3-point turn, get out of there, but it did do it once we navigated to a different location, but it shouldn't have. Like, if it passed those spaces, then it should have just done the 3-point turn, gone back to the spaces that we could have parked at. But this third parking space here, it did park very good, and I could actually plug in, should be able to reach the charger. So I don't know why they've removed the charger from the option to park, because for these same chargers, it did previously have it on the map as a charger, so you could select charger. But for some reason it's gone. I don't know if it's, again, whether it's just because it's Tesla chargers, not Tesla chargers, or what. I will have to see if I can figure out something about that. I don't know. If anybody knows, let me know, because I am curious as to why it seems like you cannot select any charger, or at least a lot of the chargers around me, I cannot select it anymore, whereas in the past I could. Like specifically my home, I used to be able to select a charger as the destination at my house, so that would be nice as well, because I do have a charger there. So it's like, I have charge there. Why can't you select it as a charger? I don't know. Anyway, and it did do a good job of getting in and out of the parking garage. It did have a little bit of weird navigation after that, but that's no big deal. And so I'm definitely going to come back for the parking garage and do some more testing on that sometime, because I think we got it. Maybe it was just luck that we, on the first try, got in and out of there with no problem. And it could be harder if it was busier and it had to go up or down a level. That could have potentially caused some more trouble for it. So anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.